Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shumaila Hassan, Assistant Professor, the Department of Economics from the BHOPAL School of Social Sciences. And here we are with our next module on qualitative research. When in the world where everybody is talking about the new black gold, that is data, and talking about numbers is what is mattering to everybody. So why qualitative research? So this is the biggest question that we are going to answer in this module, that why do we require qualitative research? So the answer lies in three basic key words: communication, human behavior, and third is the social work problems. So basically, qualitative research approach is defined as the market-based approach, which is emphasizing to collect data through communication. When you communicate with people, when you communicate around with people in your surroundings, you tend to gather so much. You're able to capture the emotions of the people. You're able to capture what they are thinking. You're able to see through their thoughts. You're able to read between lines. So most of the times whenever you are communicating, there is a very strong non-verbal communication that also happens. So therefore, in that entire process, you're able to capture a lot more than what you are able to capture in just standardized numbers. Basically, the qualitative research deals with how human beings behave. It is all related to the human behavior. This is that part of economics which is basically related to the human behavior. Today, one of the most acclaimed field of study is behavioral economics, and behavioral economics is basically changing over the period of time with respect to new techniques coming up when you are dealing with quantitative as well as qualitative research together. When you're talking about the solutions to the social problems, it is mandatory for us to not only look at numbers but also look at emotions. So in this module, we are going to talk about different types of qualitative researches or research methods that we can employ in order to conduct qualitative research. The different types of qualitative research goes as: first, phenomenological method; next, ethnographic method; grounded theory method; case study models, historical models, and narrative models. So let's talk about the phenomenological studies. The phenomenological studies, as the name suggests you, are the studies which are based on studying a particular phenomena that has already happened in the past, and with respect to that experience of an event, developing over the participants' feelings. Now, who are the participants here? The people whom you select to respond, whom you select to speak about that phenomena with respect to a particular situation, they are the ones who are going to be your respondents in this event. Okay. So what are the basic tools that we used in the phenomenological study? They could be observations, you can use the surveys as well as the in-depth interviews. These in-depth interviews will be of more help if they are one-to-one interviews, where you are able to capture the emotions with respect to the expressions of your respondents also. If you talk about the examples of the phenomenological study, the COVID-19 phenomena itself will give you a good example. There is an impact of event scale. Okay, now this is a standardized tool that is used in psychology, which has 7 parameters. Now, if you're using this particular scale to study that, let's say for example, the impact of COVID-19 on the class 4 workers of a particular organization. So on the 7 scale parameter, you are going to talk about that particular phenomena to these respondents. They are going to respond to you. Then you are going to talk about the details of this phenomena with the respondents, with the help of the observation method, with the help of the interview method, and of course the survey method, and then record their observations and see how did this phenomena basically impact their lives. The next type of study is the ethnographic study, again a very widely used study in the qualitative research. Now this is one of the most popular studies, ethnographic. Ethnographic means coming from the ethnicity, right? Now naturally occurring environment is set up. Basically again you can call this as an experimental setting. You go and live with that sample that you have selected. Now let's say for example, if you are focusing on the study of the tribes of Madhya Pradesh, right? Let's say you are studying about the tribes of Madhya Pradesh. So you will be living there, observing them, interviewing them, but then you have to be present with the sample. Right? And then basically it focuses on the motivations, the cultural challenges that these people are facing, and the beliefs and the cultures that they are following. So this is something which is related to the factual reporting about the sample. Next is known as the grounded theory approach. Now, the grounded theory approach facilitates the development of current theories based on something which is embedded in the literature review, or which is embedded in the theories which have already proven in the. This approach basically elaborates on why a course of action has evolved the way it did. Now, let's say for example, if you're talking about the solar system, there are several theories. The Big Bang theory, of course, is one of the most explainable reasons that why did the universe come into being. So therefore, if you talk about the solar system today, why is it so? So therefore, you have certain facts and findings and theories which are there in the literature review, which is already existing. So therefore, when you state that how and why a particular thing is happening today because of certain reasons that are embedded in the past, embedded in the literature review, then you are using a grounded theory approach. Next is the case study model. This is also a very elaborately used model across the qualitative researches. The case study model gives you a comprehensive understanding of one particular subject under study. Now, it can be an individual, a business, a family, or maybe a town that you are studying. In addition, the data is obtained from different sources and collected to make a bigger conclusion. Let's take an example here to examine the global plastic pollution issue and what efforts young kids can make to solve the problem, a case study of Germany. So therefore, when we are specifying the area, that is Germany, in that case that you are going to study each and every detail which is related to this particular problem in Germany. There are certain steps that we have to follow to elaborate on the findings, then follows the discussion, and then what are we concluding out of that entire study. So basically, a case study is something which is related to each and every minutest of details of a particular problem. Now, historical models are basically related to the historical researches, and the historical method illustrates past events to the present patterns. That means if you're talking about a time series analysis, let's say. So, if you're talking about a time series analysis of how a particular place has evolved over the period of time, or how oceans have evolved over the period of time, if you're doing a study on that, then the historical model will be of help to you. That means how a particular present thing is behaving because of certain things which have happened in the past, but then you have a track record of all the things which have happened in the past, which has led to that particular thing behaving a certain way that it does in the current situation. Okay. Now, it answers the hypothetical data-based questions and it uses the researchers to test them. Let's say for example, dig deep into your chosen local or global issues of protection of heritage. So basically, the historical models are used for historic researches. Okay, something which is being done by the archaeologists and the ones who are working on the evolution patterns. So they use this particular kind of qualitative study. Next is the narrative inquiry. This model occurs for a very longer period of time. This is basically a longitudinal study, and it assembles the gathered data. In the narrative data or the narrative researches, the subjects are taken from a starting point and the situations are reviewed as obstacles or the opportunities. Let's say for example, evolution of the dinosaurs can also be a narrative inquiry. Now, my dear listeners, you must be wondering that in most of the cases we are covering up a certain pattern of a series of events that have taken place from a particular point in the past till present. Okay. So please remember, one particular research always is not very exclusive type of research. You can have a particular research which is a blend of more than one methods of qualitative or quantitative inquiry. Now, let's finally talk about a few methods that we can use for the qualitative researches. First is observation, case studies, record keeping, content analysis, focus group discussions and thematic analysis. Observation method, you observe. Basically, you are able to, observation method and the record keeping method basically go together hand in hand. You are observing a particular phenomena happening, you are observing a particular series of events happening, and then you are recording each and every detail about it. And that particular data will be used with in the form of any of the previous mentioned type of research, qualitative research, and then it can be used to draw conclusions. Next is the case study method. We have already discussed about the case studies. That means minutest of details of each and every phenomena or a situation are basically recorded, and then finally we lead to interpretations or conclusions. Content analysis. Content analysis, we have a plethora of sources from where you can get the content today. But then the content which you are getting is basically something which is written content, or maybe a pictorial content or textual content. Anything can be called as content. There are several different types of contents available. But then how do you analyze it? With the help of the content analysis, we form certain patterns, we form certain themes under which we place the different sections of a particular content. Let's say, for example, if I am talking about for a content analysis, if I take an example of, let's say, the psychological tensions that students have during examinations. So now these or maybe we can put it as tensions that the students have during examinations. Now they could be the psychological tensions, there could be anything else going in their background, it could be that lack of sleep, it could be that they have not studied. There could be several reasons for their tensions. So therefore, we are placed, whenever we are interviewing a student or observing a student, in such situations we are recording it, and again our record is being bifurcated into different themes. It mostly, the content analysis and thematic analysis, they are also very closely related to each other. The last point is the thematic analysis. So when you are analyzing the data with respect to certain themes, the content is being analyzed according to themes, it would be called as the thematic analysis. And the last one is the focus group discussion. The focus group discussion is very popularly known as the FGD. Now you have a particular group or a smaller group, if I may put it so, people not more than 30 to 35, when you have these respondents sitting at a particular place answering your questions, where you are able to observe the participants one to one, you are able to get into more in-depth discussions with the group, then it would be called as a focus group discussion. Of course, the schedules or the questionnaire that you prepare for this focus group discussion is very strict and predefined. So where do we gather the qualitative data? The qualitative data, or we can say the attributable data, it can be collected with the help of the databases and the organization websites. It can be collected with the help of local and global reports. Academic articles are a good source of the qualitative data, and of course the experts' interviews. This is all about the different types of qualitative researches that we have. In our next modules, we will be continuing with the detailed description and discussion on each type of qualitative research method. Thank you and stay tuned for more.